I guess that brings us to solutions. So, Jennifer, what would you, from your perspective, advise if we were to have some influence over urban design, urban planning? What would you, in your ideal world, do?
Sure. First of all, be really careful about density. Don't just pursue density at all costs. We need to factor in the need to provide green open space, infrastructure, places for people to actually be and meet each other. And we need to maintain those things. They can't be just sold off to a developer. Second of all, I think we do need to think about the way that we are travelling around our cities. Loneliness is very much correlated with car-dependent societies, and that's for all sorts of reasons. But we know that people who are out and about walking for transport, cycling for transport, using public transport are more likely to have those micro interactions that I was talking about, actually walking through your suburb rather than just driving through it. I think that we don't pay enough attention to the way that we design our public open spaces to ensure that they're accessible and appealing to the broad nature of the community, that we are responding to what the community actually wants. And I suppose my final recommendation, and this is just a bit of a personal one, a very small subset of the problem. We need to be able to ensure that people can keep companion animals in our cities as they densify. Companion animals are very much associated with good health outcomes when managed properly. If we're building out the infrastructure for people to be able to keep dogs and cats, if we're not providing dog parks, if we're not allowing people to travel with their pets on public transport, if we're not allowing people to keep a cat in their apartment, then we're really taking away what could be a very, very nice and easy way to attenuate feelings of loneliness. That's a personal one, though.
I love it.
I support that, yeah. As the dad of a small Cocker Spaniel, I support that.
Oh.
Melody, what would you recommend?
I think I want more conversations like this. I think there needs to be more public discussion about loneliness for, whether it's something like this or whether it's having prominent people sharing their loneliness experience. I think we need to humanize loneliness. We still have a lot of destigmatizing to do. And I think really like what I was trying so hard to come across in my talk is, really loneliness can take different shapes and sizes. It can really wax and wane throughout our life, and just be aware of that and not make assumptions. That person's always very social, he must be okay. And that person is very quiet, so there must be some problem going on. And we need to be aware, be compassionate, be sensitive, but also just knowing that is a very individual experience. So for me, I really want more conversations and more awareness raising. I want us to live in a society where, when one particular man, let's say, can reach out to others and say, hey, I'm feeling lonely lately, can we chat? I want to live in a society where that is a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness.
That's very good. And picking up, there's one other thing that was striking from the data you showed, and that was increased risk with age, particularly. And when that's coupled with the breakdown of family units, or at least the dispersion of family units, do you think is there data to indicate that that's really fundamentally part of that increased risk with age?
That has been traditionally seen as the case, but again, as we have seen around the world, that experience could be very different. So just because that our risk might increase when we get older doesn't mean that there's no solutions around it. I think that that again tied together with ageism in many ways. Yeah. How do we build a society? How do we build our entire environment to be friendly towards everybody, especially the vulnerable ones? Whether that's defined by age, loneliness experience or disability.
Absolutely, thank you. And Daniel, your final thoughts. What do you think?
I think addressing loneliness is a systemic issue. I think we have to, I'm going to go one step higher than environmental here, Jennifer, but I'm going to say we have to work on a policy level as well. We have to establish, I guess, better policies regarding how we treat loneliness throughout, but also how we research loneliness. What we find in the research is even when just measuring loneliness, there's so many different tools that are currently being used that they just provide really non-comparable measures. So really having some sort of standard way to start monitoring and surveilling, carrying surveillance for loneliness overall, but also even just investing more resources in the academics and the researchers in the crowd will, I hope, appeal to this, but also you guys understand that money is always welcome when it comes to research. So, more investments and more resources and time and attention invested into not only research, but also things like the built environment, things like creating these spaces where people are able to seek out connections should they require it.
Yeah, and I was particularly struck by this observation that it's a relative thing. So you need to measure it relative to the baseline, and that's variable from individual to individual. And that methodology seems to be an area of real need, doesn't it? And